Alright, what's up everyone? Usually I do some quirky joke or something that I think is funny to grab your attention, but let me just tell you about a little person named Sarah Targaryen. She was born in like 67 AC, and she was, you all know the old king, Jaehaerys and Alicent, right? She was like one of their last children. I believe she was like their ninth child and their fourth or fifth daughter. But this little girl was fucking hilarious. There was a court fool, like there always is in Westeros, when the Targaryens and every other house is in power. And this little girl convinced the court fool that he could be king to climb up the Iron Throne. Now this is the Book Iron Throne with swords sticking out everywhere. I've thrown up an image of it for you. He ended up getting cut up. She also broke into the kitchen and would steal liquor. And then she took on 3 different lovers at once. She eventually was disgraced by her father, and her mother wanted her to stay, but she ended up escaping across the narrow sea. And I'll bring her up some other time in the video, but you all let me know what you think about Sarah Targaryen down below in the comment section. Long night, Zaldrizas Buzdari. What the fuck was that intro? Daor. Long night. Alright, now this is a random assortment of topics that I've compiled myself. Maybe I'll throw up a few questions if the video isn't quite long enough at the end. But, some questions from comments that you all have left. So leave me some comments down below and maybe they'll get answered in one of my future videos. But check this out. This show, and according to George R. Martin, right, we've already known, if you've read the source material, if you read Fire and Blood, if you've read A World of Ice and Fire, if you read the main series, or at least know the references from the TV show about this time period, known as the Dance of Dragons, right, if you know anything about it, one word to surmise the whole thing is dark, right? There's the death of dragons. To be honest, that's going to be brutal, and that's going to be extremely painful to watch, especially to fan-favorite dragons, right? There's going to be quite a few of those. My personal favorites, I think, are going to be Caraxes, Meleys the Red Queen, and Vhagar, right? For multiple reasons, but ultimately, the type of interactions with the people are going to be what really makes this show dark, for me at least. One of the things specifically that I want to talk about is that how George has even mentioned that the show is going to be dark. So during this time period in Westeros, like during the main show, until Daenerys comes over, right? Until she lands on the shores of Dragonstone, there haven't been dragons in Westeros for quite some time. Maybe, over 100 years they die, right? Most of the dragons die during the time period we're seeing on the new show. And because of that, Westeros became mostly ruled by, obviously, still the Targaryen bloodline, but there was more faith influenced, right? Like, the Targaryens allowed themselves to conquer in different ways after the dragons were gone, right? It seemed like the Targaryens and dragons themselves are one in hand. They're powerful. And everybody always says the Targaryens are sick, and then like that old saying goes, flipping a coin, and whichever side lands on means the Targaryen in question is going to be a fucking complete douche or an okay, alright person, right? That's what the common folk say, and I'll say that for a reason. The common folk also say that the 7-pointed star, right, the faith of the seven, the ruling religion that came with the Andals over to Westeros, means that there are 7 different figures. And that's, like the maiden, the father, and all that. That's actually not the case. There's one central figure with many different facets, many different faces. Like in Ashai and R'hllor. R'hllor has 2 different sides, a dark side and a light side. That's kind of like what it's like, going all the way back to Targaryens and flipping a coin. For the most part, when you listen to Targaryen history, I would say, like, debate me down in the comment section, 75% of them are okay, right? Not every single Targaryen rode a dragon, because when Aegon first came over, right, he had a stroke at like 52 or some shit after conquering Westeros. He didn't really conquer all of Westeros because Dorne wasn't brought into the fold. Dorne actually brought down the love of his life, right? One of his sister wives, Rhaenys. She's gone. Visenya was left over, and Maegor was eventually going to sit the throne after his weakling bitch-ass brother. But here's the thing. Not every single Targaryen is an asshole. It's just not the case. I think Targaryens need their dragons to remind them you don't have to do crazy shit like, I guess you could say the Mad King was being poisoned, but you don't have to be paranoid about everyone around you. You don't have to manipulate people and play like the common lords of Westeros. You have a dragon. Be a dragon, right? So they could hop on their dragon. They saw the world from a different angle. It's like if you went back to the 1500s and had a fucking personal plane and only you could use it, obviously, because no one back then would know how to use it. They wouldn't know how to fly a plane, but also it was like somehow linked to your person and only you could use it, right? And anyone else tried to use it, it would burn them to a fucking crisp. It's basically what dragons are. Because you could do that, right? Okay, so you'd have to remove the fact that you are aware of yourself in 2022. But if you're a person back there and you're given a plane and only you and people that are related to you can use planes, right? You would see the world from a different perspective, right? Targaryens are like that. And they're immune to certain diseases. Not all of them. The shivering fever killed Daenerys, which is one of Aegon, or sorry, what the fuck am I saying? Daenerys, which is one of Jaehaerys and Alicent's little daughters. She died at like, I can't remember if she was 4 or 8. Such a weird thing to not be able to remember. But she died from the shivering illness, which I think is kind of crazy because I think that's the only other. There's Daenerys, Dany's the Dreamer, but I think that's the only other Daenerys maybe that's been at the royal court in Targaryen history. Obviously, there's probably other Valyrians that may have had that name, but that's interesting because maybe Daenerys is going to die up north when she goes to fight the White Walkers and the others, right? I don't know. I'm going way on a fucking tangent here. I don't even remember what the point that I was making was, but the fact that Targaryens could see the world from a different angle when you realize that for the most part, if they weren't killed in battle, they died from something else. None of them really, aside from Jaehaerys, got to live a long, healthy life, right? So they're actually just like the shitting post. Westeros society doesn't really like them because they came over and they changed everything. Whether for good or for bad, some houses made out better than others, but that's why they have that saying, like, you flip a coin and a Targaryen is good or bad. But anyway, getting way back on track here, House of the Dragon is going to be really dark. During this time frame, the Faith didn't have as much of an influence over Westeros. I mean, they kind of did, but not really. But listen, this first season, I think, will mostly consist of setup. For instance, we're going to see different things like, well, the fact that this, the bulk of this story takes place over just like 1 or 2 years. This first season is going to consist of setup. For instance, we've actually gotten pictures that kind of confirm this. We got these pictures back in the summertime, but they're of 2021, but they're more high resolution. I've thrown them up obviously on the screen for you right now. And this is Alicent and Rhaenyra. And Rhaenyra's dragon is present, right? Syrax is there. She's a yellow dragon. It's interesting because it looks as though Alicent is smiling. Alicent is, excuse me, I'll probably edit that part out. And scene. So, yeah, basically, Alicent is Viserys' wife. Viserys is Rhaenyra's father. It looks like she kind of landed her dragon near Alicent's carriage, and she's just showing it off, right? She's like, hey, look, pet this dragon. One thing I will say, though, is like, unless they change her arc a bit, Syrax actually specifically grows fat because they're kept in chains so much and well-fed. Rhaenyra kind of flies her dragon in a battle a little bit, but it'll be cool to see her on her dragon when she was younger because she did become a dragon rider at an early age, so that'll be cool to see her and Daemon and motherfucking Lena and goddamn Laenor flying around. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be amazing. But just continuing on here, we're going to get to see their relationship, and then I think around episode 5 is going to be that clip from the teaser where we see the two of them sitting at the tourney, and that's when that's announced. Hey, if you are hailing for House Hightower and King Viserys' rightful heirs under the patriarchal stance, which honestly that has more precedence in Westeros. I did see people say that it's not written down specifically as a law, but Jaehaerys kind of, if I'm not mistaken, has Septon Bath right when he's his hand right. It's hard because Alicent, I'm getting so sidetracked in this video. Alicent used to hold women councils everywhere they went. Her and Jaehaerys would tour the realm a lot, and everywhere they went, Jaehaerys would have, his normal kingly shit, and then Alicent would listen to women. And specifically, she ended up changing this thing known as the First Night, where any lord in Westeros, it's actually fornication under command of the king, which is a similar thing in medieval times. But Alicent was able to convince Jaehaerys to get rid of that shit, because basically a lord or whoever, anywhere in their kingdom, they could go to whoever was getting married and deflower the lady. And Alicent got rid of that. So people were saying, there's arguing like, are there established laws? Is there a book of laws? Like, yes, there are written laws of Westeros, but there's also precedents and tradition, which are kind of like their laws. And everyone knows about them because they've been done for so long. So, but anyway, getting back on track here, at this clip that we see in the teaser, this is where the Greens versus the Blacks are established. If you're for Aegon II and Alicent and King Viserys' present wife, then you are referred to as the party of the Greens. And if you declare yourself for Rhaenyra, the rightful heir to the Seven Kingdoms, then you are referred to as the Blacks. Because at this party, Rhaenyra wears traditional colors of House Taragaryen, and Alicent traditional colors of House Hightower. So just kind of wrapping this video up, because it's probably really long, way longer than it should have been. I've been making House of the Dragon content for like 2 years now, so I figured I'd try to flavor this video up with different things that I find interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see, like, from the teaser, I've always wondered what Bray and Daemon are looking out at, and it could be 1, 2, 3 things, maybe. One of them could be they aren't actually on Dragonstone, because I initially thought, oh, they're on Dragonstone Beach. It's the two of them together. The clothes are ripped. Maybe they're fucking, right? Maybe they're fucking on a dragon, right? But that's not necessarily the case. Maybe they're closer to King's Landing. They've met up. This could be after Rhaenyra dies. This could be when they're secretly getting married. The timeline's going to be construed, but they could be at this meetup spot, right, where they're meeting to have sex. And they look out and they see Targaryens burn their dead. They see a funeral pyre being lit by a dragon. And maybe because that island is, Dragonstone itself is pretty close to fucking King's Landing, but maybe since, they have dragons, they can fly anywhere. Maybe they want to fly closer to King's Landing because it helps them get off more. I don't know, being that close to, like, her dad not knowing. And when her dad actually dies, the realm kind of, or the court, rather, the royal court at Dragonstone and at King's Landing kind of knows it's coming, because Viserys is a fat dude. He's got, like, fat dude problems. He also cuts himself on the Iron Throne a couple of times, and Rhaenyra sends her maester to go treat him over in King's Landing, and then he starts to get better for a little bit. But anyway, once he actually dies, that's when Alicent does the treachery, the shit that shouldn't have been done. Because honestly, if Aegon 2 and motherfucking Rhaenyra had gotten married, it would have squashed the whole thing, and we wouldn't really have a story. But it just, Alicent basically keeps Viserys' death a secret for a long time, and maybe that's what Daemon and Rhaenyra are looking out at. Maybe she sees Vhagar lighting the funeral pyre, Vhagar, or Sunfire the Golden, Aegon 2's dragon, because his dragon would make a miraculous appearance in the sky. You could probably see him for quite some distance, and I don't know, it would be cool if maybe, not cool, dark, like I've been saying, if that's what she's looking out at. Also, she could be looking out at ravens that are being sent out at the king's death. That could be more likely. But I don't know. You all let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews. Oh yeah, please slap a like on this video. Like goal is gonna be 69.